Okay. So this should be working. Wait a second until everything is functioning. Welcome, welcome. If you're joining us live, we'll be live in just a minute. Yes, there we are. And then we need to be live here too. So many buttons. It's my third one now, so I feel like I'm comfortable, but it's not working. So, tech can always have some surprises for you. In case you're hearing me already, I'm Isaiah Gabriel, and this is the Sunday night panel for Women Lighting the Way. Why is this not working? Oh, because I'm not on the right page. That might explain this. So just another couple of minutes until I can precisely be where we need to be. Sorry. Where is it? There. And just give me, oh gosh, so many buttons. Yeah. There, and then this. And it should be all right. Cross all your fingers, ladies. I'll just check it out, but I think we're live. Let's see. Voila, we are live. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. This is the Sunday night panel with our speakers from Women Lighting the Way. And this is the last one. This is the end of our live period, but in case you're watching and you're panicking, don't. We have 1 week's worth of free replays. Don't panic. But for tonight, we are meeting for the last time with some of our speakers, and we're going to have a random conversation. I do have some questions prepped, but you never know where we go. Before we start, I would like for you lovely ladies to maybe tell us a few things about yourselves very shortly. For instance, where are you connecting to the panel from today? And I'm going to start with, let's say, Nicole.
Hello, good evening. I am calling in from the UK.
Okay, welcome, Nicole. Ferris, I'm taking you into a round the panel.
I am calling in from Dublin in Ireland.
Ooh, I love that. You're close to my son. I was speaking to him this afternoon. Elaine.
Hi, I'm in South Yorkshire in England.
Welcome, Elaine. Had camera problems earlier on, did you?
Yes.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Sorry, Ree.
Good evening, everybody. I'm calling from North Tyneside in England.
Hey there, Whitney.
Hi, everyone.
Whitney
I'm
Bay.
in Oakland, California, which is just on the other side of the bay from San Francisco.
Oh, I was going to go for just the other side of the pond from us, from anyone that's spoken before you. Thank you. Welcome.
Pond and the whole country, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Really the other end. Thank you for being with us. What time is it at your side of the world?
It's noon. It's the middle of the day here.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's 9 a.m. here in France. 9 p.m. Sorry. And this is a happy experience for me because it's the first time. It's both sad and happy, but it's the first time that in Women Lighting the Way we have no Australian speakers, which means we have no crazy time zone panel thingy. But it's also a little sad because we don't have any Australians. For those who don't know, I'm Isaiah and I'm calling from France, the southwest of France. Corinne, darling.
Right. So, I'm calling from UK again. I think we seem to be a majority tonight. Yeah. So UK, I'm down south near the English Channel.
Welcome. And Mare, come please on the other side of the pond.
Yeah, I'm closer to the pond than Whitney is. I'm in Western North Carolina in the foothills of the Appalachian Blue Ridge Mountains.
Awesome. Well, welcome to all of you. We might be joined by some other speakers. I don't know exactly because we had medical emergencies, we had cancelings, we had various things. So who knows? But the 9 of us can, or the 8 of us, sorry, at this minute can do it a very nice job, I'm pretty sure. So the first questions I'm going to, and before I start, does anyone has anything to say right now? Without me prompting any questions, if you want to share something with me or the attendees. Yeah.
I'll share. First of all, Asaya, I just want to thank you so much for organizing this huge endeavor. And I've been on a lot of summits, and this is the first time that I've really been encouraged to watch, if not all, as many of the other speakers as possible. And it's a joy to be with all of you on this panel. I've watched almost all of your videos, and I feel like we've become a family, a sisterhood. It makes me want to get together and have tea with you guys and learn more, because I resonated so much with most of you. I would say everybody. There was some part of your story where I'm like, oh my God, yeah, I've been through that, or that really speaks to me. And so thank you for all your courage, and this has really been fun. Oh, you're muted now, Asaya.
Sorry, I'm having a tech issue. Some people can't see us, so I'm just going to help them just a minute, and I'll be back. In the meantime, my next question is going to be, so you can think about it. Has your willingness to become more vulnerable in the process of sharing your stories evolved from the instant that you said yes to the moment where you started recording? And if anyone wants to start answering that question while I solve the tech issues, please be my guest.
I'll start on that one. I think there was just a huge sense of relief once the recording had gone, and I was a bit reluctant to kind of watch my own video. It's one of those cringy sort of things, isn't it? Watching yourself or listening to yourself speak. And I actually did sit down and listen to it, and was pleasantly surprised. I think my perception of what I'd said and how I'd said it was entirely different to what I listened to. So I think that, I just feel really positive about the experience, and positive about meeting all of you through your talks, and really hopeful that we can all stay connected.
Thank you. My question was really about, I know, because I've been here before, that most of you, when you agreed, you didn't really know what you were getting yourselves into. And that at some point, you made the decision to do it, to really do it. Just not like, okay, let me tell a nice story about myself, but to tell the story or the stories that you wanted or were ready to share. And that particular moment, I think, is where it decides, because I keep saying that every time to the speakers, the more you give to this process, the more you get. And I know that this year, it has been amazing to watch you. I should have started with that, actually, and congratulate you, really, to see how much each of you has decided to dig deep and to dare and to just go for it, basically. But there is a decision that is made, and I was wondering whether anyone was, interested to talk about this decision that is sometimes in an instant, in a flash of, let's do this. Corinne?
Yeah, I can definitely talk about it, because I mean, in two ways. First of all, when we've had our initial conversations, would you like to? I said yes, because I said yes. I knew I wanted it a year before, and it was a huge yes. But after that, when the moment was sort of coming close to the delivery date, this is when I started to have very, very difficult, strange emotions, because it became real. Until that deadline, it is not real. You say, oh well, I can say that I've changed my mind, or you say it's because suddenly you feel very brave at the beginning, and after that you think, oh dear, that's not as easy as I thought it was going to be, and it reveals emotions, and you peel layers which are sometimes painful, or sometimes you long for them. You know, what I found that I was longing for some of the moments that I was going to talk about. So it was a very interesting thing. So not pain, but longing. It was quite a very, very strange set of emotions I've never expected. So that's why when I talk to, I encourage now other friends of mine who have amazing stories. I encourage them to come and join you, and join the sisterhood, because it is worthwhile. Because what it is like, it's opening a door, and you can't close it. You can't close it.
I don't think you can.
This door is
Actually.
open.
Yeah, no, I don't think you can, unless you really try very, very hard. But I don't see why you should. Thank you, Corinne. That makes a lot of sense. Does anyone else want to talk on this, or I have way more questions for you to be inspired? Yeah, Ferris, please unmute.
Yes, I find it really interesting because I find it easy to be able to talk about what I do, but to have a story that's me, not what I do, but part of me and who I am, that was really new for me, and that was unexplored territory, and it did feel more vulnerable. I suppose as I speak about it, it reminds me of when I was a musician and I'd play an instrument, and I'd always have the instrument, and the difference between that and when I'd sing and it's just my voice, you don't have that extra accomplice to help you away, whereas your voice just comes from within. So I think it was a similar vulnerability to that, of like it's closer to soul, it's raw, there's nothing in between. So it was a great experience. It was a different process. There was more vulnerability of like, oh, so my story, rather than, oh, I can be very passionate about what I do. It's like, oh, this is sharing part of who I am. So yeah, it was a wonderful experience.
There's a big paradox here, because most of us, we are also entrepreneurs or business women, and we are told by all the marketing people, you should be yourself. You should talk about, be unique, be your own person. Don't, repeat anyone else's job. But then whenever we kind of try to, it's like, oh, no, because there's rules about, and so we kind of retreat, just like you explained. For me, at least, I used to do that, retreat behind what I do, like you do behind an instrument. And what I do is a nice, easy, safe thing, because I know that I'm good at what I do. And so I can talk about that, on end. But then, talk about what I am. Like, and, I just want to witness, because I don't think we have any alumna here. No, I'm the only alumna. But it's the fourth time I do this exercise, and it's not getting easier. I'm just letting you know. It is, in fact, always another layer of peeling the onion, of, daring to just be who I am in face, just with my face on the screen, and voila. Plus, in the meantime, I'm getting older, so you can see the wrinkles and and the whole, which doesn't help in our society of appearance. So yeah, thank you for pointing that out, that we very often use our knowledge, our skills, our here's what I know how to do, as I don't know the English word for that. The thing you hide behind, a mask, maybe, or an instrument. So the big question is always, did you have any fear at any point? And what was that fear, if there was one? No one wants to talk about the fear? Whitney, you go. Thank you for daring.
Sure. My fear was very specific to the time. I felt like I have a story to tell. I'm ready to tell it. I want people to hear it. And then when I heard it was going to be 40 minutes, I was like, oh no, my story is probably 15 minutes or 20 minutes. How am I ever going to fill that time? And then it became very intimidating to talk for so long. And then, as it turned out, I felt rushed, you know, like when I did like a time check, I was already 30 minutes in and I thought I was more like halfway through. So kind of rushed at the end. So yeah, so my fear was really filling that much time. And then it turned out the opposite was true. And the time just went like that.
It's really interesting because I was reminding people or telling people yesterday, I think in the panel or the day before, that the first year we did that, we first had not given a time frame to anyone. So I got talks that were 10 minutes, and a lady sent me 2 hours and a half, 2.5 hour video of her, literally her whole life from, you know, the cradle, basically. And it was like, am I keeping it? You know, does that make sense? And we decided with my bestie Chris Wallace, who was at the time organizing and managing this event with me, that it wouldn't make sense. So we sent back both the 2 hour and 2.5 hour video and the 10-minute and said, no, this is going to be, you know, we need a time frame for uniformity so that attendees also kind of know where they stand. But this year again, I had so many of you tell me exactly what you said, Whitney. How am I going to last for, you know, that long? And then most of those people who worried about that were actually longer than 40 minutes. I'm looking at Yuri. The first time we spoke about this, she said, I can't do more than 10 minutes. And I'm like, okay, well, you do your best and we'll see what comes. And then I think your talk is the longest, Ree.
I think I perform better when I'm live, and I really struggle to put my thoughts into any kind of coherent pattern. And I did, but once I started, I was like you, Whitney. I got to 30 minutes and I thought, how the hell am I going to fit this into the next 10 minutes? And I could have gone on. I could have really gone on. Fortunately for everybody, I didn't.
That also comes to say that, you know, there's no alumna, as I was saying here today, but we do have more than one story. We all have. So, you know, you can just come next year for the next bit or in 2 years for that sake. Hopefully I'll still be doing this event, although every year it's an amazing event to organize and is also me pulling my hair out, but, you know, both. But the fear of the length of taking that space is interesting, isn't it? That, you know, it's actually, no, I hereby not only give you permission, but give you a mission to fill in those 40 minutes. And once we are given this time, for some of us, it's like, oh, okay, I can expand into it. Yeah. And then why should I stop? Actually, let me go further. But that's really interesting. Did any of you think about, sorry, yeah, please, Mayor.
You know, I'm going through a pattern right now of noticing my inner saboteur. And so when you gave us the deadline, I felt pretty confident that I would be able to do the right length, whatever, you know, somewhere between, I think mine was 28 or 29 minutes. But it was more like, okay, I'm not sure if it's going to be good enough, da-da-da. And so, of course, I waited till the last minute, you know, to do the recording. But I as soon as I finished it, I went, it's a take, you know, it'll be fine. It'll be good. But it's just interesting watching the pattern of like wanting to procrastinate on it because I'm not sure it's going to be good enough.
Sorry, I was muted. Yeah, that's a very common one indeed. Not to say that you're not original, but you're not. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
But yeah, really, what usually comes out is the not good enoughness, and the next bit is what are people going to think? You know, that I, being this professional woman, knowing what I'm doing, priestess, spiritual leader, whatever you want to call yourself, I'm just going to be talking about the hardships, the troubles, the difficult minutes, and I'm going to own them. And yeah, there is very often, you can call it fear, or you can call it, you know, procrastination, or Also, Ree, you mentioned you used the word perform, and I'm going to catch up on that. This is not a performance. That's exactly why it was, for so many of you and for me all of the years, difficult. It's because it's not a performance. What we are, we, Chris and myself, what I am asking you is to not perform, to just talk about you. And that's the difficult part. Not perform as the person that you are, just like Ferris was saying. And sometimes it is not organized and not, with bullet points in your head, and it doesn't matter, does it? And sometimes I've noted this year, it's been the year that I've the least prepared. I didn't have time, actually. I was doing so many other things. And I just wrote a couple of lines, and then I thought, okay, this will have to do because I don't have time to think about creating bullet points or whatever. And in fact, it doesn't matter. You can just go on and ramble for 40 minutes and people will still say, oh, that was amazing. Somebody just made a comment. My talk was the last one. I purposefully programmed that to be just before the last panel. And I was reading the comments. I was not listening to myself because I don't do that. This is one trick, if I have one to give you, is never ever listen to yourself. Just send the videos into the world, let the other people listen, but don't ever go and listen. Because then I freak out. But anyway, so I was just reading the comments and somebody was saying, oh, I agree so much with that. And I don't remember, for the love of me, I don't remember what the fuck I was talking about. I don't know what I'm talking about. I recorded this in one go with a couple of lines, and some people found that interesting enough to comment, and I don't know what I was talking about. And I would highly advise, if you come back, do that. Pick a general topic of, okay, this is part of the story that I want to say, and you just go. Because if you know what you're doing, guess what? I'm pretty sure that you know what you are as well, who you are as well. Thank you. Me rambling. I've been rambling a lot. I'm just warning you, just in case I do that again. So, do you think that you learned something in the process of creating that talk about yourself, about whatever else, tech maybe, or, anyone wants to answer that one? Yeah, Whitney, please.
All right. It's kind of related to what I commented on about the length. I think I did add more things about my childhood that connected to the story that I initially wanted to tell. And I was like, oh my God, yeah, of course that's part of my story. I hadn't really connected the two. And so that was really profound for me. And I think, as somebody alluded to, like, I'm fine with the talking. It was the organizing in an outline form that was the toughest for me. But that was really illuminating, is when I made some of the connections to, like, early childhood. Yeah, so that was really great. I did learn a lot there.
Great. Sorry, I was just with one of our speakers who is considering joining us, and I said, yeah, please come in. But yeah, I hear you, Whitney. That's really a kind of a turning point thingy. Anyone else about this, learning things about ourselves or about? Yeah, Corinne, please.
Yeah, I was going to say that I've realized how much of what happened in my childhood, or the anchors that I had, the survival anchors that I had in my childhood, I carried on in the adulthood, and how important it is to have these seeds planted in those times, because they will be with you forever, and that's something that you are reminded in moments like this, when you look back in the past, not with anger, not with despair, but you look at an observer, and you notice, and you said, oh my God, look at that. this is a thread, this is the red thread of my life, like I've discovered, it was books, writing, sort of museums. And then I started to, it's like putting some beads on necklace, you put one after the other, you pick them and you say, wow, look at them, look how beautiful they are. They've been there, and you also you have a connection with the people. In my case, I remembered vividly, the people who influenced my life. The librarians, which I loved so much when I was little, and then I have more stories to tell. The importance of having librarians in schools, like we had in Romania. We had librarians from the age of 6. And how much they formed me, So yeah, so you see stories, and that's extraordinary. And I'm thinking how much more I can tell about those times. And it's, as I said, it's an open door into times that I want to talk more, because they will inspire other people to look there and to see that they have something to hang on to in challenging times.
Absolutely, yeah. Thank you, Corinne. That's as I was saying before, for I've said that before, but I'm going to go again. I am so happy that you joined this year, because you kind of opened this library of stories that I'm trying to create to basically the whole of what in my childhood we considered a hidden place, and not, kind of not part of the world. The eastern part of the world, the communist countries, were considered like some, there was a wall, and on the other side of the wall, we didn't want to know. We didn't know, but we didn't want to know. And so the possibility that these women also want to come and talk and participate to the library or the libraries of stories is amazing. I also want to say, because I don't know why I feel called to say that, but I'm gonna, you are not only a product of a communist country. You're more than that. You're just you. You're an artist. You're an incredible person, and so at the same time as you are representing, you're not. I don't want to reduce you to that. Let's put it this way. Welcome, Heather, joining us from the US, from the Sonoran Desert, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Can you mute yourself when you're not talking? Just click on the microphone. Heather was supposed to be there, but for some reason we didn't communicate. So here she is now. And I think I'm going to go to another question, or did somebody want to go for that question in particular? Nope. Okay, fine. Now, do you feel, or how do you feel that this telling your story, and mostly because it's day 3 and now all our stories are out, do you feel a difference? Do you feel in your body, in your mind, in your soul that there is a difference, or not at all? Anyone wants to go on that? Ferris?
Yeah, I'll go on that. It relates a bit to the as well about the learning. You said that you don't listen back to yours. I did listen back to mine, and it's say 2 months since I've recorded it. And even the process of finding my story and noticing my patterns, with finding one home, then the other home. Spoiler alert, I am now in my new home, and now I have my phase 3 of settling in, of upgrading somewhere that's very neglected. And I listened to the talk. I was taking on at the end my own wisdom from 2 months ago, came back to remind me again now for this new phase. And I see from the learning and the difference of the evolution of different phases, the tools and what's needed to evolve the healing each time. And it was actually a lovely way to reflect that back to me by listening back to the talk when it was live, to then know, okay, now we're in phase 3, it's the next step. What's my evolution again? So that was incredibly useful for me personally right now. So yeah.
I love that. I love that. Congratulations. You know, for me, the daring is actually re-listening to myself. So congratulations. But I did actually listen to the first talk that I did 4 years ago. And I'm really impressed at how timid I was. It's like, and it's a talk about being yourself. So it's a story about becoming myself. And I can see 4 years later on that, you know, I was really timid. I don't think I swore any at all. Anyone else wants to talk about, do they feel any different between before and after entering the summit? No, you're making it hard for me, ladies. Nicole.
Yeah, I was just, it's probably a little bit similar to Ferris, but I think that I'd only sort of prepared a little bit of my talk and the rest was kind of just off the top of my head. And when I actually did make myself listen to it, I was surprised at how much positivity came from the whole experience of what had happened. And it felt like the first time I'd crossed that bridge of actually, instead of thinking about it as something incredibly negative, that I was able to see more and more positive from it. And so now I feel like I've just processed it differently, and I'll walk forward from here in a different place because I can see the good that's come from a situation that wasn't so nice at the time.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that, because this, for the attendees, is something that I would really insist on. That's why we do these stories. That's why I think, because there is so much power, I think, in owning the story and then seeing what has come out of it, and not only focusing on the negative parts, but also, so whether it's, you know, you in your journal, you just sit down and you write the story, or you record it for a friend, or you tell it to a friend, you don't even need to record it, or you can even sing it to your tree or your cat if you want to make it very private, but really allowing the story to unfold, and to be out of your body in some way, shape, or form. I think, to me, holds a very, very important power. And it allows us to see the story from the outside, because it's not inside, it's then there, and I can look at it, basically. Just like Ferris said, listen to it again, or, you know. And that doesn't mean that I want all 430 something attendees to come and be speakers. Please don't. I can't. 25 is a lot. But find a way to tell your stories. These stories do not belong to us. They don't. Anything that stays inside too long is not a good idea. So let them out. Let them into the world. Have a good look at them and see what's in it for you now, not before, when it happened. So thank you, Nicole, for sharing that. Do you want to talk again? Go on.
Oh, there was just, it was something separate. It was just to do with telling the story, but whether that be telling it or journaling, there's a really important study that was released last year, and the process that they take people through is actually sitting and writing for 20 minutes, just free writing, and doing it over 3 consecutive days. And so each day, if you don't look at what you wrote the first day, the second day, the third day, come back to it at the very end, and you analyze the positives and the negatives in each of the writings, you'll probably find that the third one is far more positive than the first one. And so that's you bringing the emotion out and allowing yourself to process it. And so, you know, just by us being here and speaking it, it's part of that process.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Absolutely. Corinne, you wanted to say something earlier on, I think.
Yeah, I was going to say again, I don't know why it came to me, because these are like he said, like a library of stories, you know, like books. We are like books. And in a way, you can see that people can just take a book and read it by listening to us. So, you know, probably if you put together all of these 4 years, can you imagine, you know, having like an entire, you know, you are starting an audio book and video book with women, you know, on different topics. And, you know, if somebody wants to get more strength because they're going through X experience, bang, they're going to pick one of the stories that you know, it is out there. So it's not related to this, but I think that you can, it's an amazing opportunity. Because years ago in Denmark, they started with borrow a book big, a person, an individual. And they were having this kind of a gatherings, you know, and this is what you've started, you know, you started this, you already have so many
I'm not the only
books,
one. I just don't want to take credit. I'm not the only one in the world doing that. There's a lot of women who at some point understood that we need more women's stories. There are in the world. A good 80% of the stories that are told are men's stories, whether it's, you know, the success stories of Mr. Rockefeller, Mr. Elon Musk, or even Jesus for that sake. You know, they're all men, and all the stories, almost all the stories, are about men, or about poor women who are going to be in danger, like Little Red Riding Hood, you know, princesses, and you know, but and men's story. This is my soapbox, so just don't leave me there too long. But men's stories are usually they go from rags to riches, from success, from poverty to richness, from, you know, they go upwards like this in a straight line. Just like men's sexuality go from nowhere to orgasm. I told you, soapbox. Women's stories are not like that. We are cyclic. We are spiraling. Our stories go back and forth and up and down. And then we stop for 5 years because we've just had a child. And, you know, I can't go on my story and my business and my love affairs because I have a baby now and I have to take care of that baby. And then 5 years later, you think, hey, wait, where was the thread of my life again? Let me pick it up. And these stories need to be told so that we can find ourselves, so that our daughters, our sisters, or mothers or grandmothers, they can see themselves and not always feel inadequate, because compared to a man's story, that's the only thing that you can feel. And I know that I'm not the only one doing that. There's a lot of women in the world creating those kind of resources, libraries, podcasts, ebooks, collective books. There's a lot of things happening, and I'm loving that. I'm just adding my little, and with your help, only with your help, adding a little stone to that huge work of love. So, let's skip to another question. Sorry, I need my notes. So yesterday we discussed a little bit about, do you think that, or do you want to go at the idea that this might also affect your business? As an entrepreneur, do you think that this endeavor is just a personal endeavor, so it did you good, maybe, hopefully, or do you think that it helps in your business as well? And if so, in what way, shape, or form? Yeah, please, Mir.
Well, you know, the story I shared, I've actually shared a number of times, but not to that extent in interviews. And I didn't do it to promote my business. I did it because the story needs to be told, and it's part of a much bigger process underfoot on our planet right now. And, you know, speaks to the capacity of each of us to hold, as I say, the luminous love. I was pleasantly surprised because my story was aired today, that someone did purchase, you know, the 50% coupon off, and I went, oh, that's nice, you know. So yes, but that's not why I did it, really.
What I'm really interested about, if I dig a little bit, is how, if in any way, does showing up like fully yourself might affect your business? You see what I mean?
You know, yeah. I think whenever we're really authentic and we speak from our hearts, we resonate with a lot more people. And we're not hiding. We're really bearing our souls. And like Whitney, your story just kind of blew me away, and your courage and the healing process that you've been on makes me connect with you in a deeper way that you may not realize. You know, I can speak to Ferris, listening to your story, watching your video, and the courage you had to do some of the things. I mean, there was so much courage portrayed. Maybe I'm getting too far off topic, but I think the authenticity, you know, is what you're really kind of trying to bring out there, Asaya, is when we speak from our hearts, that we feel it. We feel it in other people. We feel their hearts, and that draws us to them.
Of course. And you know, that's why for some of you, maybe not you in this panel, but for some of the speakers, I've had to send them back my opinion about their talk, saying, this is not you. This is you, you know, selling me something that is you, but it's not you. That's, you know, I know that some of you had to go back to the drawing board basically and think, you know, or send me things that I thought were, I don't want to say superficial, but polished, prepared, organized, to be nice, to look pretty. And that I think is not interesting for this particular work that we do here. Also, it's a huge permission given to anyone to own their own story. So if we don't own it ourselves, how can we, be that lighthouse, basically. As far as business is concerned, because most of us, we have, we're spiritual leaders, we're healers, we're, trauma healers, coaches, etc., etc. I think that the core, sorry, Nicole, I see the word there. The core thing is, if we want to be, different from each other and from AI, we have to be ourselves, because there's no one else, basically. And despite what marketing gurus might tell you, it's not by being all similar that we'll get more visibility. Are we going to talk about the witch wound? Is anyone interested? Yeah? Does anyone, shall I recap what the witch wound is, just in case? So, there's this concept called the witch wound, which basically considers that for most Europeans, at least, and to an extent the Americans, during certain periods of history, there was something called the witch hunt. In Europe, the numbers that are put forward is 9 million people were killed, out of which 85 to 90% were women. Drowned, brought to the fire, basically killed for being healers. They call that witches, right? It's the instant where men decided that medicine was a man's work, and that women who knew the herbs and were midwives were witches, so let's just burn a bunch of them. And we're talking 9 million people in Europe. I don't know about the US, but the numbers, but in Europe, it's roughly, they consider 9 million people over a period of 400 years. So it's not like a short thing. What that means for women today is that we all, in Europe at least, have ancestors from there. All of us, whether we know it or not, whether these women have names or not. For many of the US people, your ancestors came from here also. So I'm sorry to say that you might have those as well. And so that's transgenerational trauma, basically. And that means that we have, as women, so many of us, maybe not 100%, but so many of us, we have this fear of literally, if I'm visible, and mostly if I'm visible as a healer, as a magic person, somebody who deals with energy or whatever, then I will get killed. I will be burnt at the stake, drowned, trialed, whatever, My children will be taken away from me or even executed. And this is not something that we can just decide that it doesn't exist. This is, for many of us, we don't even know it until we kind of dig for it. But it's not something that you can just say, oh, let me not just feel it. You know, it's there and it's part of our ancestry. And it means that it gets worse when we intend to get paid for it. It's, first of all, it's a visibility thing. If I'm visible, if I'm seen as a healer, my life is in danger. And then second of all, if I'm, you know, if it's obvious that this is the way I eat and feed my children, then it's even more visible and my life is even in more danger. And that transgenerational trauma is huge. And part of doing this summit is also making yourselves visible, and visible as not only a professional, you know, like Ferris was saying, like I know what I like and I know how to talk about what I do, but making yourself visible as a person that is a healer, that is a, you know, coach or an energy worker or whatever, and that increases the danger. So I think we are also modeling for women the idea that it's not about not feeling the fear or just, you know, pretending it doesn't exist. It's just about being realistic, like very realistic. Like today, I believe that there are way less chances that we might get killed because we are that. There are some, they're not, but, you know, basically we're all right. And so I think I've spent a lot of time explaining to my inner wounded witch that she was going to be all right, but I was still going to climb on my soapbox and talk about being a goddess and living goddess life and all those crazy things that I do. Does that make any sense for any of you? Corinne and Heather?
I was going to mention it's fascinating what you're saying, because I was going to say that it would be an idea to write a letter to the wounded witch. You know, I think that, I mean, I really feel drawn to writing a letter, and I think that is something which it's going to reveal interesting things if one is going for a week to see what happens. On the other side, as you mentioned about having witches in the, and I love that you mentioned the psychogenealogy, because I adore this area, and you, because being in France, you know, you are at the core of this this superb aspect, you know, type of psychotherapy and so on. Anyway, so what I'm saying is that I know in Eastern Europe we have it's a huge sort of huge area for us in terms of healers and witches, because all villages had their own healers. People were not going to the doctors; they had their own healers there, and they were called vraci in Romanian. And it's something that my grandmother, you know, from my father's side, you know, she was the one who was everybody was coming to her for, you know, for herbs and for all of this stuff. So it is in our blood. And I was thinking how interesting, and I wonder whether anybody on the panel experienced that in my case, so I was raised in a capital, so I had no connection with nature whatsoever. However, when I came to England, and after 45, that was an interesting number, a type of age, I started to really take a huge interest in healing, in plants, in making potions, in creating my own remedies, and just out of nowhere, you know, it's just out of nowhere, as if the roots were calling. So it's fascinating how absolutely the roots were calling. And then my not my mother, but not that generation, but my grandmothers, and maybe the great grandmothers, because they were all working with the land. They were all women who were part of the land, and they were healers. You know, they worked. They were no doctors around. You know, they lived in the forest almost. You know, so that's what I'm saying. And I wonder whether anybody in the panel has anything sort of similar.
Anyone wants to answer on that or on my previous question, whatever? Heather, I think you wanted to talk.
Yeah, so interesting this has come forth today, because we touched on it briefly yesterday. So I could have my story be about this, and it was a more universal theme that came through that wanted to be spoken about. But there's a big underlying thread in it, is this very thing. I'm first generation in this country. My entire ancestry files. And as a child, my grandmother, Scottish, told me I was a healer, and I already knew. I already knew in part because in my own home in America, but in my birth family, both are British, I was being called a witch because it scared all of them. So I was learning pretty early how to live the hiding myself, same time as striving to be myself. Fast forwarding is one of the things my grandmother said is, you just are that. And you will know when the time is right. And this was to a very young child, but I've always carried this. When the time is right to really unleash, if you will, your gifts. And without going on too long of a story, what I will just say is the time is now. It's go time for all of us to unapologetically be who we are. I've been who I am, and getting the feedback over all my decades. I'm now in my 60s, and now more than ever, people coming out of the woodwork almost and saying, you've always been that, you've shown up as that in every male-dominated field I've been in, and even as a healer and navigating through what was really mine and what were the conditioning way the masculine was teaching and sharing or saying how I had to be. So I feel like even the story that wanted to come through in this particular round, in this process, was part of it. It was about coming really true to myself, about being universal theme of love, that all of life is love, source is love, because it's very healing. But it's also that it was part of what needed to come through for me to get clear on who I am, and that it just must not in any way be hidden or reserved, but nor does it have to be put out in everyone's face all the time. Is this trusting and knowing the when, the where, the how, with whom. And I'm hearing this more and more through my own work, and I work a great deal in the United States with Indigenous nations, and it's because, frankly, they find me. I don't mean they as in othering, difference, that it amazes me out of the blue. Well, we've heard about you, and then I do the work, and it's because it resonates. I'm not trying. I'm not imposing. I'm just being me. And so it's more of this being receptive and open and receiving. I don't have to push. I don't have to prove anything. I don't have to follow anybody else's rules. And so it's like all these paradoxes and conundrums are just starting to fall away and just start to see through. And it's surprising to me that more and more of us are finding this. We're hearing about the witch woundedness, and it's really something to be embraced and to be grateful for, so that we can see our own unique ways through. And I've really never talked about this before, so I'm not sure if I'm going in spirals here, but I think that this part of what this journey is that we've been on is this liberation and freedom from being within ourselves and home in ourselves.
Yep,
and it's
absolutely.
just going to continue.
Hopefully, and make ripples. Today is, sorry, I'm going to
ripples.
go to both Mare and Elaine. Thank you, Heather. Today is day 3 of the Women Lighting the Way, and we named the 3 days to write the word her. So the first day was healing, the second day was empowerment, and today's the ripples day. So it's where we spread. Elaine, can you tell us something? And then Mare.
Yeah, I don't know if you know, you class this as being related to the witch wound, but you know, I was told only last year that which did make sense to me, that I had worked with Archangel Michael, as in doing healing for millennia. So, but I was told that I would be open to psychic attack and things like that. Yet I was still willing to undertake, you know, to allow him to come through me to do healing in this lifetime. But, you know, in previous lifetimes, this may have been a running theme, you know, through me or through my family, you know, where perhaps I was persecuted, you know, for what I did. Because obviously this would have gone against what anybody else, you know, the powers that be wanted.
There's one of my mentors used to say, if you're doing this work now, it's not your first rodeo.
Yeah. And, you know, even though I've done other therapies, which, you know, have resonated with me, you know, and are important to me, I've always known that I've always been drawn to, apart from which, to angels, but also to the healing side all the time. I just found it miraculous, you know, the energy healing. I just found it amazing, you know, the fact that what we as human beings do by this energy connection.
Yes. Thank you. I don't have anything to add, so I'll just say yes. Mare.
You know, this was just brought up. The witch wound for me has been the past life memories, and some of them coming spontaneously to me, and other people telling me without my even really asking at times, and understanding why I was so reluctant. And it still takes courage to show up. You know, it really is an unpeeling of the layers of trusting, or fear, and trust, and putting myself out there. So it's not something for, I can only speak for myself, but it is not something that I think that I've gotten over, you know, in one fell swoop, boom, it's gone. It's ongoing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I really don't think that anyone can truthfully say it's a one-go thing. Right? I just think we've been swamped in that for so much, in so many lives, whether they're past lives or, for me, I found my ancestor. I mean, I found her. I was in Paris one day, a short story, and I'd gone to see this exhibition that was about. It was in the National Archives, so you know all the trials and over the hundreds of years that they have kept archives, and it was about all the trials where women were presumed guilty. So in most law cases, women and men are presumed innocent until proven otherwise, right? Well, there are a few cases in the French law, and there have been for hundreds of years, where women are presumed guilty, and they have to prove their innocence. There is, if you killed a child, infanticide, you're presumed guilty. Only women, right? If a man kills his child, he's presumed innocent. Well, anyway, I'm not going to go too much into that because I can see Ree going, and I can see the patriarchy. No, I agree with you. But one of the crimes, so-called crimes, that women are presumed or were presumed guilty is witchery, whatever, being a witch. And they had to prove their innocence by saying, no, I'm not a witch, which obviously never worked. Anyway, I was interested and I went to visit this exhibition, and there I was browsing hundreds of huge big books, you know, from the Middle Ages and the 16th century, with names and names and names and, you know, trials and everything. And suddenly I see my name and I'm like, fuck. And this woman called Gertrude Born was actually my ancestor. I mean, like, not past life or, you know, somebody else that I vaguely remember from some Akashic Records memory. somebody who is my family. And I'm like, okay, I'm still having goosebumps right now when I talk about that. It's like, okay, it became a little too familiar that minute, you know. It's like, okay, so it's not vague. And she was drowned. She was drowned because she had helped a woman give birth when, you know, in 1689, I think, or something like that. So late. I mean, not like, you know, because we always think that the witch hunts were Middle Ages. Oh, you know, were there these old times where they didn't know about anything? No, it was the hundreds of years after the Middle Ages. It was during the Renaissance, when supposedly we were so cultivated and learning new things. And that's exactly when men began organizing the genocide of women, basically. But let's not go too deeply into that, because for a last day, it won't make us very happy. So my next question, I think it's time we kind of move on to not only how this works for you, the process of doing the summit, but how did you find each other's talks? Because as Mayor mentioned, I'm asking every time all of the speakers to watch and listen to each other's talks to see beforehand, so that when we arrive to the summit, it's not just a bunch of women telling their stories, a list of names, but in most of your consciousness now, these are real people. These are real women with real stories. And hopefully, even if you never, ever meet again, there's a thread that has been woven in between all of you. Does anyone have a take on somebody else's talk? You know, something that touched you particularly or annoyed you particularly? Elaine?
As soon as I heard Mares, I was drawn in straight away, because, you know, that's a typical type of subject that I'm really interested in anyway. I just found it amazing what you said, and I know other people in similar situations that do this sort of work that you are doing as well. You know, how they've overcome various, you know, illnesses and things like that. So I found that really, really interesting. And also Corinne's today as well in particular, you know, just learning about, I love anything about different cultures anyway. But it almost reminded me of, like, you know, how materialistic things have got, like in the West. And, you know, just looking at that, the different cultures, you know, what we probably knew about what was going off and what was actually happening, you know, like in Eastern European countries like Romania. But yeah, I just found it really interesting. But to be honest, I've listened to everybody's talks, and there's been a theme that connects all of the talks anyway. You know, there's that sisterhood theme, but also there's so many different themes that, you know, connect to each talk, and I've loved listening to every single one of them. So
what I find interesting is that the two that you named were one because you felt a similarity, and one you felt because you felt a difference. And I think that's the power of it, because we connect with things that seem familiar or that we are drawn to naturally, and then we also connect with the strange, the new, the you know, the exotic kind of, you know. And in both cases we end up seeing that there is a similar theme, and maybe that's the theme of womanhood.
Yeah, definitely.
Or a way of telling stories that is of a woman. Anyone else wants to talk about somebody else's talk? You don't have to. I have more questions. Nicole.
Well, she's not here this evening, and for me it was Katrina Armstrong's, because I have known Katrina for a while and I have worked with her. And I suppose, you know, sort of seeing her at this stage where I see her as somebody with a great deal of wisdom and a very powerful healer. And to just hear the story behind it, her growing up and sort of what she'd been through, and it just, whew, yeah, it was hard listening to and hard sort of reconciling myself with the fact that you know she'd been through all of that, and yet you know she's just this beautiful human being who has so much time for everyone.
Can I just pick on you? And
Okay.
because you just said one word that I want to pick on. You said she's gone through all that, and yet she's this amazing human being. Maybe you could it's almost because
Yeah,
she went through all of that. You know, it's not like she just survived it. I think she alchemized it. She, you know, and that's maybe. I'm not saying that we have to go through hell to go, you know, to basically become a decent human being. Please don't quote me on that one, because this is part of, you know, what annoys me very often. But I think that the strength and the beauty in Katrina's story in particular is how she made herself the butterfly out of this disgusting situation where she was growing into. And yeah,
But
thank you for mentioning her. She was supposed to be here tonight, but then something happened and she's not. But it doesn't matter, you know.
But there's a
Thank you for
choice there
sharing.
as well. You know, there's a choice, you know, and some people are, you know, have two doors in front of them, and the one they choose to go through turns them into a butterfly, and the other one descends into chaos. And I
Yep.
mean, the most beautiful thing about everyone's talk is that we've all shared some sort of story that maybe wasn't so wonderful, but here we all are, and we're inspiring other people. And
Yeah. Absolutely. I want to just add a little to that as well, because I'm this person. We're not finished. None of us. None of these stories are finished. I don't know where we're going, but we're going somewhere different again. And that's the beauty of it. It's not that we've just managed to make something out of our lives or shitty circumstances or chaos that we grew up in or whatever. It's still ongoing. I don't feel like I'm finished, as in perfectly finished. And I hope you don't do either, because I think we can all be different and perfect, more perfect or more in a different way. And I also want the attendees to hear that it's not because they've not gone through whatever, or if they've not healed enough, you know, they can always start today. The two doors are always there, and they repeatedly will show up in your life, and you have several opportunities to open one or the other, and one after the other even, because sometimes we need to. Thank you for sharing about Katrina. I was really touched. Anyone else? Yeah, Mare?
Yeah, this may be a little bit redundant, but the level of courage that I was witnessing with a lot of these stories, and I apologize, I didn't listen to everybody's, watch everybody's, time was running out, but it just, again, Whitney, I come back to you and how you just kept on pursuing and finding new ways and different ways. And I was listening to some of the ways you worded things, and I was just reflecting, like, I still am back here. I haven't gotten over this part of my woundedness. And just, it's so beautiful to be so inspired, you know. And but it does take a lot of courage to overcome and continue to persist. And yes, there are always doors in front of us. You can go this way or that way. And like Ferris, I listened to your story, watched you, and where your former partner who you were taking care of then had the stroke, and you had that decision that you knew you couldn't take care of him. You were not going to take care of him the rest of his life. And I thought, God, the strength to make that decision and make it clear and know that you needed to live your life. I admired the inner strength. So I just wanted to speak that. And Ree, you know, my God, becoming a police officer and, you know, being adamant, even with your superiors, no, I'm not going to be with that woman, taking her to the jail because she was completely wrong by being, you know, sent to jail for not paying her TV fine or whatever it was. I mean, it was just like, thank you. Thank you for being so strong and speaking up, you know, and I know you're doing a lot more with a lot of other women, but it's awesome, the courage. I learned a lot.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree that the courage is one of the key shifting points or turning points, is when we can muster enough courage to take another door, to move in a direction that is not the expected one. And again, I think I've said that in each panel, so I'm going to go again. There is a guy called David Hawkins. He invented the map of consciousness. So he mapped emotions and he measured their frequency, their vibration. And it goes from the very low vibrations, shame, guilt, you know, the whole very nice emotion, the not very nice emotion, sorry, my English. And then at the top are love and enlightenment and, you know, joy, the whole shebang. And the shifting point for him in his measurements is courage. So that's the emotion that brings us to actually take a movement, make a move, basically, and get out of wherever we are, is courage. And that is literally the vibration of courage. So that's interesting, I think. And yeah, we had a conversation yesterday about the idea that courage is not always a huge, you know, ta-da moment. You know, sometimes it's tiny little steps of courage that added one to another. And I'm saying that mostly for the attendees, because sometimes when we sit down and tell our stories, we kind of present it as if, you know, we made a decision, opened another door, and then, you know, everything changed. But sometimes it's not like that. It's just repeated little moments of courage, repeated little moments of not giving up with whoever you want to become. And that's possible. I just want to say that that's possible always. Now that obviously the next bit would be that's possible with support. You don't need to be doing that or whatever you're doing alone. And that's also what we're saying here. I'm always fascinated every year that I do this summit that you ladies reach out to each other. Things happen without me knowing. So my paranoid person is always having a little breakdown, but I'm also very happy that it does, that you help each other, you know, do things together, and that creates this support that sometimes we need to muster the courage, not master. And that's where sisterhood comes, and where sisterhood replaces comparison. I'm not as advanced as gets lost into I could give her a hand, or maybe she can give me a hand. Whitney, did you want to talk, or just, you know? Okay. Nope. Anyone wants to talk about sisterhood, comparison? Okay, so my next question would be an easy one. One word for this experience of being in Women Lighting the Way. Just one word. You can pick your word. Yeah, you're all going to go. I'm not leaving anyone off the hook here.
I'll just start then. Inspiring.
Just unmute yourself, say your word.
I'm going to say confidence.
Dedication.
Encouraging.
Extraordinary.
I will say purpose.
Transparency.
don't have one word. I just see a future where brave and strong women. We've got it. We've got it. We've got it.
Well, I think that calls for the only graphic stupidity of this platform where we're recording. You got it. That's the, in Zoom, there's a lot of fun stuff. Here's just this one. But I think that deserves it, Ree. You deserve it. And the rest of us, of course. The last section of this conversation is about what would you hope that the attendees take away from this? Those people that I'm really impressed that there's, more than 400 people who decided to come and listen to us in one way, shape, or form. And do you have any hopes or, that what could they take away? Yeah, Ree?
I just really believe, I believe in the power of feminine connection. And you said earlier about comparison. For me, comparison is a thief of joy. And on a patriarchal planet at the moment, because ladies, we're coming back, I think the whole divide and conquer structure, we're breaking that down, and you've got to understand the importance of feminine connection.
I'm going to have to go with this again. But yeah, absolutely. Whitney and then Elaine.
Yeah, I think one of my takeaways and for the women who are watching this goes back to something you said earlier, I say about kind of men and women's stories, that the typical masculine arc is you have a problem, you solve it, and then you're the hero at the end of the day and you get the girl and it all ends happily ever after. And I thought a lot of these stories, like Mare in particular, was because I listened to that one yesterday. I thought we were coming to the end of the story. It's all about how, like, I listened to my guidance and my guidance got me everything I ever wanted. And then there's the part where, like, well, then I went through this period of depression. And so it sort of jumped out at me of like, oh, I really thought I knew where it was going to a resolution. And then there's another chapter where it's not all resolved. And this great awakening doesn't solve all your problems. And I think I saw that in a number of other stories where you think like, oh, wow, this is such a great ending to their story. Something happened and then it got resolved. And then, nope, there's like a whole other chapter of difficulty. I heard that in a few different stories. And I think that's a great takeaway, that it just is never totally resolved, or like the problems don't get solved, or some of the problems get solved and then you have new problems. And again, as we said at the beginning, that doesn't mean your story isn't ready to be heard just because you're in the middle of maybe another bad moment or another problem that hasn't resolved itself. There's still so much to your story that is worth hearing and learning about.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that one. I'm really, really happy that somebody mentioned that, because there's so much about, oh, I'll tell my story when, or if I'm healed, or when my business is successful, or when I'm perfect. And this is basically never. And your story matters now. All of our stories do. Elaine and then Corinne.
Yeah, just similar to what Whitney said as well, but hopefully by listening to all these stories, because there are 25 different stories, but there are some similarities throughout them all. But to have hope, to have faith, to have trust that things can work out, and even though something else might crop up, you've got that resilience. You can go back to a previous experience, and realize I've got this resilience within me. I can overcome virtually anything, but there are other people that you can reach out to as well, you know, for support, whether it's a female friend, whether it's a therapist, whether it's, you know, family member, whoever, but to have trust and faith in yourself and know that things can be resolved, even though something else might crop up. That is life. You know, you can go through a course like, you know, to resolve anxiety. Doesn't mean you're never going to be anxious in your life, because it's part of life. But it's about overcoming things, but knowing that, you know, you can get through things, whether it's by yourself or with support from others. And hopefully, you know, there's been a message in all these stories that, you know, this is life, things do crop up, but you can deal with anything.
Absolutely. Thank you. Corinne, I think.
Yeah, so it's just one very simple one. Many times when we go through difficult situations, we tend to think it's my fault. I must have done something wrong. It's me. Something happened, and we spend a lot of time sort of wasting a lot of energy dealing with this thought, which weighs like a ton on our shoulders, and trying to go through whatever is going on, we have to deal with in front of us. So my message probably to everybody and listening to our story is that it's not your fault. It is not your fault. Shit happens, excuse my language, and it's not because of us, by any means. It's not because of us. And sometimes it's coming from our lineage, sometimes it's coming from direction we have no idea where, but it's not your fault.
Yeah. Can you see the bobbing heads? Attendees, watch the bobbing heads. It's a yes. Thank you, Corinne. Nicole, and then Mare again. Sure.
For me, it would be you're not alone. There's a huge amount of power that comes from listening to stories and seeing connection between yours and someone else's, and that you're not alone, and we all have things going on in our lives, and we can get past it. We can become more resilient, and we can support one another.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Mare?
So with what people are sharing here, I just want to say, Ferris, I think I'm always going to remember the pink goo on the couch. And how that if you could get that cleaned up, then you could do anything. I was thinking about it yesterday after listening to your talk the night before, and or earlier yesterday, whenever it was, and I'm like, she has her pink goo story and I have my story. So thank you for that reminder. It's going to stick with me.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, absolutely. We get, you know, if maybe that's a good takeaway for the attendees. If you can get one story that will stick with you and remind you that, you know, either somebody could overcome this or that, or somebody was able to make some fun of something that seemed dramatic, or, you know, somebody had some crazy nugget of courage at some point, and you can take away just that and carry it with you. And it might be Ferris's pink goo indeed for all of us. You never know. So as we are nearing the end of this panel and the end of the live part of our summit, I'm going to open up for if anyone has something final to say, and then I've got some announcements. Yeah, just a minute, Corinne. We'll do the announcements in a minute, but anything else? I'm going to go for thank you. Thank you to each and every one of the speakers for daring to play with me, for daring to come in this experience, and for showing up as themselves. I'm going to go to thank you for the attendees. Thank you to each and everyone who decided to come in here and listen to those stories and share a part of our lives at some moment in here, whether you watch the stories live during the last 3 days, or whether you use the 7 days free replay period. because we believe that these stories need some time to get digested, integrated. And so that's why we give 7 days for more time. So use that time, use it wisely. Yeah, thank you for listening to us. Thank you for daring on your own adventure of becoming yourself to walk this path of, being a woman in 2025. And, trying to become more and more of yourself and finding your truth, your voice, your wings, and maybe a few spells on the way. So thank you very much. And before we go, I have 2 special announcements. So first of all, I have decided, because I have 3 special announcements. So remind me if I forget one. So the first one is, I have decided to, we had created a gift with every speaker, and this gift was supposed to be reserved for our VIPs. But I decided that I was going to gift it to every attendee, because I think that it might be a wonderful opportunity for every attendee to meet each of our speakers. So we have created, I'm sorry, some of you are going to disappear for just a minute while I show what you have created. So we have created an exclusive attendees booklet, and it's got as many pages as we have speakers. Each of the pages was created by one of the speakers, and we are sending that to every attendee. So you get a nugget of wisdom, joy, courage, energy, or whatever from each of the speakers, whether you have listened to their talk or not. And we're going to be sending that midweek, so that you still have time to watch the replays and to go and catch one or the other talk that you might have missed. Maybe you find somebody in the booklet and you think, oh, this Whitney person is interesting. Let me go and check her talk, or Heather, or whatever. And so this is going to be sent to every attendee. So we hope you appreciate it. We hope you have fun in it. There's everything, including a special gift by co-founder of Summit, Chris Wallace, who I think created something called the I don't give a fuck bingo or something like that, which, anyway, so yeah, we're very happy to share that with you. It has been a labor of work, because it's absolutely, what I love about this is that you turn the pages and you jump from one universe to another. It's like so many planets, so many galaxies. I love that. So this is my first announcement. The second announcement is a promotion. We've been talking about sisterhood. We have been talking about women doing things together. And I'm getting emotional. Whew. I had no intention of doing this, but I am. We are doing, together with Ree Pearson and Annalise Argyle, who is not here tonight, but he's one of the speakers, we are doing an event in January called WOW, Winter Online Women Only Wellness Gathering, which is basically creating gathering sisterhood for women. And we are going to start promoting this very soon. And I do hope that some of you will come and play with us. 3 days of January, in the doom and gloom of, after Christmas, we have nothing left and it's cold and dark, and we intend to have fun. We have open mic, we have sister circles, we have workshops, talks in the teepee. We even have a virtual teepee. And a lot of other things. And I can tell you, and you're going to be laughing, there's a tiny witch treasure hunt as well. So come and visit this event. I will share a promotion about that in the next few days on all my social media. So you will start seeing that appear. And I'm really, really happy to be managing this event. The money that we will gather from this event all goes to different charities that support recovery charities for women, or domestic abuse prevention charities, which, I'm not going to go too deep into my emotions right now, but that's important for me. Lastly, I want to remind you that there is a way for each of you to stay in the summit energy and to listen to the stories again and again and again by buying our ticket. So you've been coming here for free, but you can also buy a 39 euros ticket that will get you 1 year worth of replay. This means that for a year you can revisit the talks, you can get access to the speakers' offers, giveaways, freebies, and basically dig deeper. You also get with your ticket, you get 4 amazing VIP only presents from each of our alumna speaker. So we have 1 free recorded course from Heart Song Yoga Immersion Library by Leslie Ellis. We have my Ground with Gaia 3 parts challenge, or I should not call it that challenge, but anyway. We have, Vivian is sharing her From Effort Trap to Devotion, a masterclass to shift the frequency of your business from force to flow. And Christy Iris is sharing her Neurospicy Decluttering class. So these 4 gifts will belong to you if you buy the ticket. And then, drum roll, ladies and gentlemen, we have a special gift, and I'm going to let the creator of that special gift announce it. So for those VIP buyers only, Karine, hold the mic.
Yeah, so thank you for that. First of all, I think most of you know that I've been listening to the talks, all of the talks, especially from 5 in the morning. So 5 in the morning, and then about 7 or 8, I had my coffee in my in one hand, my pencil in the other one, and the journal on my knees. And then the muse started to chat. And actually, Isaiah, you've been the first talk that I have listened to, and my hands started to move. I had no idea that this was going to be the beginning of a beautiful friendship between the pen and all of your talks. And I was going to produce at the end, a drawing for all the 25 talks that I've listened to. So now I have 25 drawings, and what I would like to do, I'm going to put them together as a workbook, as a coloring in workbook. And I'm going to gift this to all of the VIP ticket holders, but also to all of the speakers. So this is going to be ready by the end of the year, God willing. And what I would also like to do, I will do, at the end of it, I'm going to have a couple of pages with a little bit about your bio and the link to your website. And and I want to publish it. I want to self-publish it. I've done it before, so I have self-published a few workbooks, creativity workbooks, and I want to do it next year. Praise the Lord. And then it's going to be open to more people to see the drawings. I'm going to ask to one of my ideas to get people to talk about their own feelings while they draw, while they see the words and the imagery, and they create their own story. So it's going to be a healing journey, 25 actually healing journeys, 25 muses who are going to speak to them. So I want it to be a dialogue between you, all of you, and the people who are going to buy this. But for the time being, it's going to be a gift, as I said, for you all. My way of saying that my muse or my muses, I think I have quite a few, were inspired, and I'm very, very thankful for your warmth, for your vulnerability, for your bravery. And I just want to say that it really inspired me because I've been going through challenging times, and your stories matter. And your stories made me stronger. And there you are. The muse is crying now, but it's crying of joy. It's a cry of joy. So thank you all for giving me the chance to draw again, and to draw with a purpose. I've been drawing, but this was a purposeful drawing, and nobody pushed me. Just the muse and you, all of you. So thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm pretty sure our VIPs are going to be very honored. Me as a speaker, I'm very honored as well. And I'm sure all the speakers as well. Thank you so much. It has been really fascinating for us to watch, I think, because you've shared a few of those before, and to watch, to have my talk become an image has been like wondrous. So I'm really excited to see them all in a booklet or a book, and maybe to, buy it and color it once I can. So thank you very, very much. I think that's an amazing gift for our VIPs as well. I just want to remind everyone that buying the VIP ticket means that we get to do two different things. First of all, to pay for the quite expensive Hey Summit platform, and do know that all of this, nobody's paying anything. So I work for free. Those ladies worked for free when they recorded their talks. Everything is a work of love, but the platform still needs to get paid. Once this is taken care of, which is usually very easy, we then proceed to give the money to charity, and we give to a charity called Kiva, which is a microcredit lending charity. And that the amazing thing is that we lend the money and it comes back with interest, and then we lend it again and again and again and again. So it's a never-ending story of lighting the way for women, because obviously you would have guessed that we will lend money to women in underserved communities and women only, because we are lighting the way in any way, shape or form. And that allows women who need some money to build their tiny shop in, Angola or wherever. And I, every time we do Women Lighting the Way, I share on my profile and on the Women Lighting the Way group and Facebook page where the money goes. I share some images so you can check that out and follow those women who we have lighted the way for. So not only will you get 4 amazing gifts, 1 year worth of replay, Corinne's incredible coloring book, but you also help some women around the world. So what's stopping you? It's only 39 euros. That's the end of my promotion talk now. And yeah, thank you. Thank you very much to the speakers and to everyone for playing this game with me that consists of, hey, do you want to come and tell your story in front of a camera? Oh, I just want to finish this by saying that I want to thank also our VIP speaker, Mary Reynolds Thompson, who was kind enough to come and talk with me for a good hour about her work. Please go and check her out. This woman is changing lives in so many magnificent ways. We were talking earlier on about writing your story, about telling your story. Mary's running a book circle sisterhood where she encourages everyone to write. This has changed my life in 2025. I've met so many of you there as well. And yeah, so go and check her talk if you haven't. It's interesting. It's even more than that. Anyway, thank you to everyone. If you have anything else to say, that'd be now, because otherwise I'll just cut the live stream and say goodbye to everyone. We good? Yeah. So thank you to everyone. I will talk to you soon. Ladies who are in the room with me, please don't leave. I want to say goodbye to you properly. The rest of you, bye for now. And watch the replays or wait for next year, because, we might be coming back. How was the thing? I'll be back. Bye for now. I don't know where is the thing where I stop. There it is.